You guys, I think it has been very clear over the course of the last 2 seasons to anyone that watches NBA basketball that the Dallas Mavericks were one of those teams that were almost always guaranteed to be a surefire playoff contender. And even with some of the early unfortunate exits we have seen out of the Mavs over the previous years, and a trade deadline move that was questioned by many people around the league as it went down, the Mavs have essentially been tearing through the NBA day by day over the course of the last few weeks. And as you could have guessed, with most of the things we discuss on this channel, absolutely no one is talking about it. And what this currently means for the Mavericks, what it means for their future, and just how crazy it actually is, what we are witnessing, I personally think needs to be dived into a little bit further. One sec if you haven't yet, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy, subscribe, and turn on those noties to never miss another NBA video. Love you guys. And for any of you regulars that haven't yet, believe me, now is the time to do so, because according to my numbers, over 95% of you guys coming back to watch the content haven't even subscribed yet. So for any of you that do, thank you so much. But anyway, let's get back into the Dallas Mavericks, and more importantly, the trade deadline move that they made, which I think I can confidently say, as many other people around the league said, was the biggest wildcard move that any franchise had made. And this statement is not necessarily regarding the piece that the Mavericks gave up in Kristaps Porzingis, but it more so has to do with the fact that the Mavericks were trading for 2 players on the Washington Wizards that, if we're going to be completely honest, were not living up to their expectations by any stretch of the imagination. And long story short, out of the small sample size we have seen out of play in Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans in their time with the Dallas Mavericks, this move by the organization, which was questioned by many, could have been the smartest thing they possibly did, and let me explain why. Because first things first, when we're talking about these two, almost all of the deserved attention needs to be given to this man right here, Spencer Dinwiddie. Because the quick improvement we have seen out of Dinwiddie while he was in the midst of having the worst season of his entire career completely across the board is honestly nothing short of monumental. And if you don't believe me on that, the numbers on the screen right now ought to prove that to you. As so far in his quick adjustment to Dallas, he is putting up averages of 17.5 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists per game, while also shooting ridiculously improved and increased averages from the field of 56% overall, 41% from 3, and a 64% effective field goal percentage. Now real quick, I want you to remember that this is a man the Washington Wizards said they wanted to move on from because, quote, he looks like a shell of his former self and his teammates simply do not want him there. You guys, I genuinely cannot believe that this is an actual quote from the deadline. Because if we were seeing the Dallas Mavericks version of Spencer Dinwiddie this entire year, you would probably think he would be one of the frontrunners for the 6th Man of the Year award. But believe me, it is not just the improved play in Spencer Dinwiddie we are seeing that is making this Mavs team that much better, because the ripple effect of this trade is very clearly being seen from top to bottom of this rotation, but it is definitely being seen most in the face of the franchise's play in Luka Doncic. Because, I mean, to start, we can just look at the fact that since the Kristaps Porzingis trade, Luka has been putting up some of the most ridiculous stretch of numbers that the game has ever seen, averaging an absurd 36 points, 10.5 rebounds, and 7 assists per game, while also having some very solid shooting splits in the process. But honestly, aside from the numbers and just taking into account an eye test when you watch this new Mavs rotation play, it really does seem to be a lot more of a fluent offense when Kristaps Porzingis is out of the picture. And I honestly do not mean this in a negative way to Kristaps in any way, shape, or form, but how this new rotation looks being built around Luka Doncic, I think is the best recipe for success. I say this in the sense that now Luka Doncic is the clear-cut one and only superstar on this team, and instead he is now surrounded by an abundance of role players who, as simply as I can say, know their exact role to the T. Because whether or not you were a fan of the KP and Luka duo, it really felt like more times than not, at least when I was watching, that Kristaps was essentially disrupting the flow of this offense. It's obviously nothing against him, it just has to do with his style of play, and on top of that, meshing with this overall rotation. But aside from the 2 additional role players that the Dallas Mavericks recently acquired, almost this entire team has stepped up to the plate when playing alongside alongside Luka to contribute to their success. And the three biggest players that stick out to me in this sense that have been huge for the Dallas Mavs this season are Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith, and even Reggie Bullock. As again with these players, their numbers are not anything crazy, but Mavs fans, you can definitely testify to this in the fact that they have been doing exactly what is needed out of them to win basketball games. But when we are talking about a team who has an honest MVP sleeper candidate in Luka Doncic leading them along the way, and if you don't think he's an MVP candidate, what is on the screen right now should at least convince you that he's in the conversation. But on top of a guy like this, the Mavericks might also have the most competent all-around rotation alongside Luka in the entire league. Because, I mean, seriously, even though some of these players are slept on, the Mavericks have role player options in guys like Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleber, newly acquired Spencer Dinwiddie, and Davis Bertans alongside Reggie Bullock, and of course Josh Green, who you cannot forget. Guys, I truly cannot emphasize enough that even though yes, it always seems like a given to take and run with additional star power, but sometimes, and especially with the situation the Dallas Mavericks are in right now, surrounding a superstar that can produce profoundly for your team with a bunch of guys that know their role more than anything else is exactly what you need to do in order to get your biggest return. But aside from everything I have mentioned so far, I now want to hear what you guys have to think about the Dallas Mavericks. So please let me know in the comments, with everything we have seen out of the Mavs as of recently, do you think they are a team that can at least make it to the second round of the playoffs or even the conference finals this season? Also, make sure to let me know what you think of Spencer Dinwiddie's time with the Mavs thus far. Also though guys, again, if you haven't yet, don't forget to go down below and leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, and of course subscribe while you're down there. I truly cannot say it enough, you guys, brand new NBA videos every single week around here, you do not want to miss out. But I also wanted to say thank you so much to each and every one of you for watching. I appreciate all of you more than anything, you all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.